This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we looked at a number of different plan types yesterday, right? We spoke about uh, different kinds of salary plans, your period salary plans, your unit salary plans, and then we also introduced one-time payments, right? What I'll do is we would continue with our one-time payments today. Okay, now as I discussed, one-time payment plan, it is used to basically award one or more one-time payments, or I may also say that your ad hoc payments to an employee, right? So these are basically your ad hoc payments. We also discussed that your one-time payment plans are similar to your bonus plans, right? In the sense that even your bonus payments are one-time payments. However, the difference is your bonus plan is assigned to an employee, whereas a one-time payment plan is not assigned to an employee, right? So you process a one-time payment for an employee, right? And how do you do that? We'll talk about that uh, uh, further. We also looked at or spoke about a few examples of one-time payments, right? So your referral bonus, uh, your, for example, some spot awards, uh, your rewards for the workers, your rewards and recognitions, your signing bonus, your relocation uh, allowances, your severance payments. These are all one-time payment plan examples, right? Okay. So we were talking about how do we create a one-time payment plan, right? And we were looking at the different one-time payment plans that can be configured. Uh, okay, so my task is create one-time payment, and we were looking at an amount based one-time payment, right? Again, I give an effective date for my one-time payment plan. I specify the payment plan type. Okay, we'll talk about all the different aspects. Okay, again, I would give a name to my payment plan, and I'm calling this as a referral bonus or any other plan type, right? We'll select this checkbox, which is enable coverage dates, and I'm not sure if we have spoken about this yesterday. So your enable coverage dates. Now, if you remember, we discussed yesterday or as part of the uh, basic feature of your one-time payment plan, that it is not assigned to an employee, right? So when you hire an employee, you're assigning him a salary plan, uh, and then the plan would stay with the employee uh, for the tenure of the worker, right? My employee becomes a manager, you are assigning him a car allowance, maybe it's a monthly allowance, a weekly allowance, a quarterly allowance, but then the allowance is a recurring allowance which is assigned to a worker, right? On the other hand, your one-time payment plans are not assigned for an employee, they are processed for an employee. But then you have an option of identifying for which period that allowance or that payment is being made, right? So for example, my rewards and recognitions, right? So your organization pays, identifies, uh, let's say the top performer each quarter, and then gives a reward to the top performer, right? Maybe the managers nominate them, and then there's a jury which selects the top performer based on the business case presented. Okay, so I get my reward in the month of April, right? But then this reward is for the first quarter. right, for my performance in quarter 1, which is from Jan to March. Now I need a means to identify the coverage dates for which this award is being paid out in April, right? I need to understand that this employee who is paid a reward one time payment in July, this is for period uh, uh, April to June, right? So selecting this checkbox called enable coverage dates, when you go ahead and do that, system would present you with an option to enter the dates, the start date and the end date, right? Both of which would be optional fields, and you can define for which period the payment is being processed. As I mentioned, this is only for information purposes. It is just for you to identify for reporting as to what period that payment is processed, right? The payment would still be a one time payment. The employee would be paid uh, in one go, probably in April payroll, in May payroll, whatever is the payroll configuration for that employee, right? Okay, so your enable coverage dates, as I mentioned, the option enables uh, an input uh, to beginning and ending coverage date in the business process involving the one-time payment plans, right? So at the time of assigning this or processing this one-time payment plan through your business process, which is request one-time payment, that's when system would show you those dates, start and end date, right? Okay, let's open some employee, right? Again, let me open Steve Morgan. Additional actions, compensation, request one-time payment. This is the effective date from which this payment is being processed, right? Okay, add. Uh, Let me select a one-time payment plan. Okay, if you see, it has these coverage dates options enabled, and the reason is the checkbox enable coverage dates is selected. So if I go ahead and uncheck this checkbox, then system would no longer show me this coverage period. Again, if you see, this is just an optional parameter, so I may still decide that I'm not going to enter the coverage dates, right? But then once you have the checkbox selected, system would present you that option. Okay, I have this question. So the default setting for these two dates is optional, right? But then I want to make sure that every one-time payment plan which has the coverage dates enabled, I want the person who's processing that request to enter the start and end coverage date. How do you think I can enable that? So again, my requirement is, even though so I have configured that on reward performance RNR, this one-time payment plan, the coverage dates are enabled, right? However, when I enable this coverage dates, uh, these two date parameters, they're still optional, right? So someone who's awarding this plan, he or she may still go ahead and submit this request without entering the coverage dates, right? And system, the default setting is it will allow to submit that request. But then I have this requirement to make these two fields mandatory, required. How can I do that? So this is not part of the compensation. This is just your generic business process configuration and setup. Anyone would want to give it a try? Uh, okay, so I'll not give that answer. You guys can try. This is part of normal business process setup and configuration, right? But then I have an option to make these fields, for example, mandatory for all scenarios, mandatory for probably certain reasons, right? For example, maybe I want to make the coverage dates required only when the amount for the plan is more than 10,000. Just a hypothetical example I'm giving, right? So I can make these values mandatory for all coverage date plans, or maybe some based on some logic and reason, right? Okay, again, go ahead and do your analysis and see how that can be done. uh, all right, so enable coverage dates, right? Okay, the next one is your compensation element. Again, I would associate a compensation element with my payment plan. This being an amount based plan, I'll specify uh, the amount, the target amount. This is the amount which gets defaulted, but your one-time payment plans, as I mentioned, they can always be changed or processed, right? So the default setting of your one-time payment plans is that you cannot create a fixed amount one-time payment plan, right? You can always go ahead and change the value of your one-time payment plan. Okay, your currency, the recommended minimum and maximum, as I mentioned, this is just the guideline, and system would not error if you provide a compensation which is outside this range. Again, I can still put a validation or a condition saying the amount should be within this range, right? But as such, the workday's behavior is uh, it would not validate if the or it would not stop you from giving an amount which is outside the range. Okay, what is target amount? Again, I am not sure if we discussed about this yesterday. uh, Gross amount, or sorry, gross up. So what is this checkbox which is gross up? And again, if you see, this checkbox is not enabled. uh, I cannot set this checkbox from within the compensation configuration, right? Okay, now if I look at the description, it says uh, any one-time payments against this plan will be grossed up during payroll processing, right? So again, I'm giving a reward to my employee as part of this reward and recognition payment plan, right? The amount that I'm processing for my employees is, hey guys, I am sorry, just give me a second, I'll have to take this call. Okay, so when you select this checkbox, and again, you cannot select this checkbox in compensation setup, you'll have to select or perform this configuration in payroll. Okay, but the idea is when this checkbox or this gross up is configured as yes, then system would automatically gross up or increase the value of the one-time payment, right, to accommodate for the taxes and other deductions, right? So even though I'm saying I'm giving you 5,000 US dollars, right, the actual amount that the employee gets would be less than 5,000, right? Probably because system would deduct tax on this 5,000 as well, right? So if tax of 1,000 is being deducted, right, then what payroll would do, it would automatically gross up the one-time payment plan amount, probably 6,100, so that after tax deductions, the actual amount which, or the net amount which employee is getting, is still 5,000 and not an amount which is less than 5,000, right? So selecting or enabling this checkbox would automatically gross up the amount of the one-time payment plan during payroll processing, so that the net amount that the employee gets is still the one which is defined as the target amount on the one-time payment plan configuration. Okay, so when the one-time payment plan is linked, or when the checkbox is enabled, right, uh, the one-time payment plan uh, will be adjusted, or the one-time payment plan target amount will be adjusted or grossed up, increased, so that the employee receives the full amount and not an adjusted amount due to tax deduction, right? Now, as I mentioned, you cannot go ahead and select this checkbox in compensation, right? This would automatically be enabled. And what basis will it be enabled? Uh, I am creating R&R. Now, this is a one-time payment plan, right? So this is my compensation plan. Now, how do I link my compensation plan with payroll earning, right? I do that with the help of compensation element. So if my one-time payment plan is associated with the compensation element, which in turn is linked with a earning code which is grossed up, then system would automatically enable this checkbox, right? Because this processing actually happens in payroll. So when in payroll, your payroll earning codes are set up, right? They would be configured so that they automatically gross up, right? Your payroll team would give you those payroll earning codes, and then you would link that payroll earning code with your compensation element, and the compensation element in turn is defined on your compensation plan, right? And once you do that, system checks that this plan is linked to a compensation element, which is in turn linked to an earning which is grossed up, and system would automatically enable that checkbox for you, right? Again, I'm not aware of how that configuration is done, because that is all part of your payroll configuration. But then as far as compensation goes, it would be enough if we know how system enables that, right? So no setup required from our end, except for the fact that your payroll team would give you those earning codes, and then you link your compensation element with the correct earning codes, right? I think we've already discussed about the transaction, uh, the the task for doing that, right? Maintain compensation elements. That is where you link your compensation elements with your payroll earning codes, right? Okay. When the one-time payment plan is linked to a gross up earning, right? And how this is linked? Through compensation element, right? This checkbox is automatically selected, right? Okay, so that was a gross up plan. All right. Recommend minimum, maximum, pretty straightforward. Your work tag, right? Now, what is a work tag? Now, uh, by default, when any payment is processed for an employee, it would be processed or through the employee's cost center, right? We know where do we have that cost center assignment, either directly on the employee's profile, or employee would inherit the cost center membership based on the assignment on employee's organization, right? So that is the default setting. When I'm paying this employee this reward and recognition, for example, the amount would be calculated or accommodated through employees default costing work tag or default cost center, right? But then for this particular plan, maybe referral bonus that I'm creating, I want this to be tagged not to employees cost center, but let's say to the recruitment cost center, right? Because your referral bonus it's an incentive from your recruitment team, right? It shouldn't be tagged to your Workday functional or IBM implementation cost center, right? That is your project cost. Your referral should be tagged or accounted for to your uh, uh, recruitment team's cost center, right? In that case, you can define the work tag which is associated with this particular plan, right? Let's see if there are any favorite, right? So I'm associating this plan with this work tag, right? Now all your payments are processed through this work tag. Now if I look at employee's profile at the time of plan processing, if I do okay, right, system, if I click on add, right, system shows the default organization assignments and the default work tags for the employee, right? Now if any one work tag is linked, you select WP, right? So if any work tag is linked with this payment plan, system would automatically show that work tag. But then with this one-time payment plan, I have not defined any work tag, right? In that case, even at the time of plan assignment, I can define the overwriting work tag for that particular uh, payment for that particular employee, right? uh, okay, so your work tag, guys, let me know if now most of these are for example, your cost center setup, your work tags, these are usually handled by your finance, right? If you look at the organizations as well, you know that these are sorry guys. I don't know what just happened. Just mm, okay, let me close this. Okay, so most of these configurations we don't have to worry. If even if you look at that maintain organization types, you know that cost center companies, these are all your financial organizations, right? So we don't have to worry about those configurations. In HR, we just use those organizations for allocating costs for our employees, right? Okay, so what is your plan work tag? Your plan work tags uh, allow you to assign a costing work tag or cost center to a one-time payment plan, right? And ultimately, this will be processed either through Workday payroll or your third-party payroll, right? Okay, this allows the option of paying a one-time payment using additional costing options, right? If you do not want uh, to use the workers default uh, cost center assignment, right? Okay. All right, what next? Okay, the next important factor is your category. Now you can define a category which is associated with that particular plan, right? For example, I can define this reward and recognition. I may have multiple rewards or multiple different kinds of rewards in my organization, right? For example, some spot award, uh, achiever award, best performer award, let's say best new joiner award. I could have different categories of awards, but then I these are all different one-time payments which are related to rewards in my organization, right? So what I can do is I can link multiple one-time payment plans, or I can categorize multiple payment plans with the help of this category option, right? So all my one-time payments, my spot bonus, my applause award, my outstanding award, my best young achiever award, all these are categorized as uh, my uh, let's say some travel award or some this category. The only purpose of this category is they allow you to group your awards, right? You can then write a report to check all the payments or all the one-time payments processed against a given category, and that way system would be able to pull you the report, right? So your category allows you to go ahead and group your one-time payment plans for the purpose of your reporting. Okay, but there is an exception and we'll talk about that. So your category as such is optional, but then let's talk about that as well. So your category uh, allows to group uh, multiple one-time payment plans for the purpose of reporting, right? Now when I look at that category option, right, what you see is all these are custom categories, right? So some team 2, just by the looks of it, I know that these are all custom categories that have been defined. So how do I define my category? The task for defining my categories is maintain one time payment configurable category. um, Probably I don't have access to the task. Let's see if I can quickly resolve this. If not, uh, okay. Mm, mm, okay, it says maintain. Uh, let's see what is this task. Probably this is the task. Uh, Okay, yeah. All right. So if you see, these are all the configurable categories, right, which are created, and I can delete these categories because no plan is associated with those categories. But then, for example, I can create a category called uh, performance rewards, right? And now if I go to my plan, okay, I'll have to create this a new phone. Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
can hear you.
sorry guys, power outage. All right, so 1/1/2015, my amount based plan. The reason we are talking about category in this detail is, and I'll let you that know, right? So now this is my category performance rewards, right? Now you see these are all custom categories in the tenant. So all these categories, these are all my configurable categories, right? But then I also have something called a delivered category, right? So first, uh, okay, so what was my task? My task was uh, maintain one-time payment plan categories. Right now, if you see, there is a workday delivered category which is called referral. Right now, what is this delivered category? If I go back, I have this delivered category called referral, and if I look at my plan, I have this referral category. Right now, we know that when we spoke about examples, we said your referral bonus is configured at. Okay, so your referral bonus is configured as a one-time payment plan. Right now, this is a special category which is delivered by Workday only if a one-time payment plan is linked to this category called referral. Then you can use that plan to process your referral payments for your employees, right? Okay, let's see how that is done. So the delivered category is referral, right? Okay, and what did we discuss? A OTP plan can be configured as a referral plan, right? And what does this do? This allows uh, you to include the referral one-time payment plan as part of different business processes. For example, you're hiring an employee. So when I'm hiring a specific employee, right, within that hire, I can include request one-time payment as a sub process, and through that hire process and request one-time payment sub process, I can then process this referral payment for a worker who has referred this new hire that I'm currently including in my organization, right? Okay, now based on the plan configuration, system would automatically determine the eligibility if there are any plan profiles that you have configured. For example, if the employee being hired is an individual contributor, I want a payment of 5,000, right? If the employee being hired is a manager, I want a payment of 10,000, right? So I can define different plan profiles based on the different eligibility criterias that I have set up, right? Okay, so system would automatically identify that based on the eligibility criteria and then automatically process the correct amount and the one-time payment plan, right? Now, how do you set up your referral one-time payment plan? Obviously, you the first step is create one-time payment plan payment schedules. Now, if I go back to my plan, and if you see, this is how my plan looks, and I can assign it to different configured categories, right? But then, or I can leave it blank as well. But then the moment I assign it to this category called referral, system automatically populates this referral payment option, right? Or in which I define the payment schedule, right? Now, what is this payment schedule? This basically identifies when that referral payment would be paid out, right? So many organizations, they have this criteria. The moment employee joins, you would get 50% of your referral, and maybe after employee completes his probation, then you get the remaining 50%, right? So you can configure your referral payment schedule, and so let's see what are the payment schedules configured. There are all these custom schedules that have been configured, and I'll select the payment schedule for processing this referral payment plan, right? So the first step is create your one-time payment plan schedules, right? Okay, what is the second step? Second step is create OTP uh, and select referral as the category, right? What is the next step? The next step is when you create your job requisition, right? Obviously, uh, I am referring someone means there is a job posting available, right? So I'm referring someone against a job requirement, right? So the third step is when your job requisition is created, at that point in time, you will include this plan as your reference bonus plan, right? So when you create your job requisition, then include a referral payment plan, right? And where do you do that? On your recruiting details page, right? And finally, during your job application process, uh, you process this plan uh, when you hire an employee, or maybe later when you process the plan, right? Okay, so if I go to the task, uh, one time payment schedule. Okay, so create one time payment schedule. Let's not create anything. Let's see if there are existing schedules available. and we'll see how those are configured, right? Okay, here I'm defining that the payment should be made 3 months from the date of the hire of the employee, right? So my one-time payment schedule is always defined in terms of the date of hiring of the employee, right? And then I can define how long after hiring my payment should be processed, right? Now, at the time of hiring, when I assign this one-time payment plan to a worker, system would still wait for this period before paying out that one-time payment plan, right? So at the time of hiring, process the plan using request one-time payment as a sub process of hire business process, right? So at the time of hiring my selected worker, I would include this request one-time payment sub process. Within that, I'll assign this one-time payment plan, the referral plan, but then system would only process that plan when the schedule is reached, right? Okay, so what is the task? The task is create one-time payment plan schedule, right? Okay, the next is when I create my plan, I'll select the plan category as referral, right? And include the payment schedule in the plan configuration, right? So when I create my plan, I'll select the plan category as referral and then include the payment schedule in my plan configuration, right? Third is I create a job requisition. So let's see there is any open positions available. Mm, uh, okay, let's see. Job application. All right, so if you see right now, I don't have an option to create a job requisition. Uh, how do you think I can enable that option, or why do I have a job requisition on this? So right now, if you see, there's no job requisition associated with these open positions. However, I am able to hire, right? And I don't even have an option to create a job requisition. So how would Workday, or why is Workday not enabling that option for me? Okay, another task for your investigation. This is also part of the core compensation, right? Okay, let me select. I'm not going to create this job rec. I just wanted to show you where you define your referral uh, uh, CEO, right? Oh, all right. So this is effective 1/9/2020, right? All right, no issues. Let me uh, edit a job requisition. All right, so here if you see, I define my referral payment plan. So when I create a job requisition, that is when I define my referral payment plan, and only those plans are available in this list. There are hundreds of OTPs in the system, right? But only those one-time payment plans uh, which have the category as referral, only those one-time payment plans are displayed in this list, right? And finally, I process my job posting, I hire my worker, and that is when I identify. Uh, Obviously, at the time of creating that job application, you'll have to specify that this is a referral, or the candidate will have to specify that this is a referral, uh, and someone has referred him. Okay, so that was your one-time payment plans, right? Have we discussed everything? Yes, we have. I'm not again going to save this. Now your one-time your amount-based plans are very similar to your percentage-based plan, with just a few minor exceptions. Uh, Again, you have the enable coverage dates option, you have the category option, you have the gross up option, you define the compensation element. Here, instead of amount, you specify the percentage, right? You specify the frequency, right? And you specify the recommended minimum and maximum. So I'm saying the recommended minimum is 2 and the recommended maximum is 20, right? Now, if you remember when we spoke about compensation basis, right, on 12th, we said that your compensation basis is used to calculate the value of your percentage based plans, right? Now, this is a percentage based plan wherein I am defining that the target percentage is 10%, right? Uh, Now system needs to know on what basis should it calculate this 10%. But then if you see, there's no option to define the compensation basis. The reason for this is that your percentage based one-time payment plans, they are always based on your total base pay. So whatever percentage you specify, system would always calculate the dollar value for that percentage based on the total base pay of the employee for which that plan is being assigned, right? So it is always based on the total base pay, and that is why you don't have the option of specifying uh, the compensation basis value. Okay, so for your, in fact, most of these fields, they are common for both amount based plans and percentage based plans. The only difference is percentage based one time payment plans, right? No uh, plan amount is always calculated using the total base pay compensation basis, and therefore, unlike percentage allowance plans, no comp basis is specified. Okay, any questions on the one-time payment plans? So we have looked at our salary plans, we have spoken about hourly plans, we have looked at allowance plans, and we have looked at one-time payment plans. Uh, there are a few other plan types that we'll talk about. Yeah,
Sayed, just one thing. Hi, this is Varun.
hey, Varun. Yeah.
Yeah, how much training is pending? How many more days? I just wanted to know.
At least 10 more hours, 10 to
Hmm.
12 more hours. That's
10,
what I would say. Yeah.
10 to 12 days. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Another thing, we are planning to implement compensation for India office. Like in CC, some of the countries compensation is already implemented. So just wanted to understand from your point of view, like here, let's say HR doesn't know anything about Workday, and even
Mm-hmm.
we are new, we're just attending the training. So when we have to do the requirement gathering exercise, so can you
Mm-hmm.
just like whenever like you can spare half an hour and just guide us
Mm-hmm.
how we have to do the requirement gathering with the business if we have to implement compensation for India office?
Sure.
What
No
are
problem.
the yeah yeah
No
okay
problem.
okay that's it yeah thanks.
Okay, perfect. We have 2 more minutes. I would not start a new topic. We'll talk about plan adjustments next. So will see how you can adjust the uh, payment plans, and this would be your allowance plan, but also other plan types as well, right? Uh, okay, there are a few other things, and let me write that down. So OTP processing. So we have already looked at uh, simultaneously when we were creating our plans. We looked at the request one-time payment business process as well, but just a few call outs. We'll start with that. Then we'll talk about the allowance plan processing, the allowance plan adjustment, and then there are other plan types as well. So we'll talk about commission plans, we'll talk about future payment plans, we'll talk about a few other aspects of core compensation, and then later we'll start with the advanced compensation plans. Okay, I would stop here. If you have any questions, we can take those questions, else we can uh, close for the day. Uh, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining. You guys have a good day ahead. We'll speak again tomorrow. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye, thanks, bye.